Hey guys, in this part of the section, we're going to be talking about comparison operators. Now, what they do is compare two values and check if they're either equal or not equal or greater than or less than. So that's pretty straightforward, right? So how do we do this? We can do this. Okay, let me type system.out.println, and inside here we can check if 12 is greater than 3. I just use random numbers, by the way, and this is the I just want to show you the example of a logical comparison operator, or sometimes called relational operator. So I'm sure you know this from maths or whatever, but it's kind of like general knowledge that this symbol checks if either something is greater than or less than. So yeah, 12 is greater than 3, and we can check if 12 is less than 3. So let's run this part. 12 is greater than 3. It will return either true or false. So there we go. We get true, and wait. So we get true because 12 is in fact greater than 12 is greater than 3. Now the other way around is 12 less than 3. That has to return false because we all know that's not true. There we go. While we can do this, we can check inside this print statement. We can also do that by loading this whole expression inside a Boolean variable. So I'm going to call this compare is equal to, and I'm going to copy this whole thing and paste it in this Boolean variable. Now I've initialized it with this expression, and now in the system.out.println we just pass in compare. What's going on? Okay, sometimes this thing trips. So now when we run it, we get false as the outcome we've expected. And I want to show you more. There's greater than, there's less than. We can check if they're equal with these two equal to signs, and this will return true if these two values are equal, but if that's not the case, then it's going to return false. Just for demonstration, I just want to show you guys 12 is checking if 12 is equal to 3, then it returns false because 12 is not equal to 3. But if 12 is equal to 3, it's going to return true. Now here, note what I did. I used two equal to signs instead of one, because one assigns a value to a variable, but this one will check if two values are equal. So major difference there. And we can check if something is not equal to, like 12 is not equal to 12, or yeah, that's what we're doing. We're checking if 12 is not equal to 12 using this exclamation mark. So if we run this, it should return something like true or false. Now this will return false because 12 is equal to 12. So it's asking like, what do you mean 12 is not equal to 12? Because they are equal. So if I lower this value to 11, then we should get true because 12 is not equal to 11. There we go. And I wanted to show you guys more. Okay, I think that there's another one called greater than or equal to. So we're checking if 12 is greater than or equal to 11. So one of these conditions has to be met. So it has to be either greater than or equal to. So it's true that 12 is greater than 11, but it's not true that 12 is equal to 11. So the whole thing will evaluate to true because one of the conditions was met. Now when we run this, we should get true. There we go. Now if we turn this the other way around, 12 is less than 11, less than or equal to 11. None of these conditions are true, so this whole thing has to evaluate to false. There we go. And then when I set these equal, like 11 is less than or equal to 11, then this should be true because it is one of the conditions was met. There we go. So that's it for relational operators or comparison operators. Then I want to talk about logical operators. So let me change this to logical. Now logical operators will check whether two expressions are, it compares two expressions. So let me show you what I'm talking about. There are three logical operators, and the other one checks if they are both true, and the other one checks if one of them is true, and the other one checks if they are not true. If that was confusing, I'm just going to show you the first one. The first one will check if two expressions, and I'm going to say 12 is greater than 9, and the logical operator usually goes here. So it checks if, let me start with the AND operator using these two ampersands. This one will check if either this one is true and this one is true. They both have to be true in order for this whole statement to evaluate to true. If one of them is false, then it will return false because it needs both of them to be true. So is 11 less than or equal to 11? That's true. Is 12 greater than 9? That is also true. So this whole thing has to evaluate to true. And we get true over here. So if I change this to 1, is a 1 greater than 9? That's false. But this part is true. So we're expecting this whole thing to evaluate to false because not both of them were met. Not both of these conditions were met. And the other operator I wanted to talk about was the OR operator. So this one will check if one of them is met and it doesn't care about the other one. So we use two pipe symbols for this. This pipe symbol, if you're wondering where it is, in most keyboards, the backspace button, below that, and then press shift and press that button. So this one will check if one of them is met and it doesn't care whether the other one is either met or not. So let's run this. This will check if this one will be true, right? This one will be false, but it doesn't care. It's going to return to false. I mean true, sorry. So there we go. It returned true because one of these conditions are met. And if none of these conditions are met, then it's going to return to false. It's going to return false. And there we go. And then there's the last one I wanted to talk about. That's called the NOT operator. Using this exclamation mark, it checks whether this whole expression returns true, does not return true, sorry. So this whole expression has to return false for this whole thing to return to true. It's kind of confusing, but you have to try to wrap your head around it, and just to make sure that this thing knows that we're talking about this whole expression. We like to wrap this whole expression around parentheses or brackets, and then it knows that, okay, we're talking about this expression here, the whole expression. So using this exclamation mark, we check if this statement returns false. So it has to return not true. Now, when we run this, we're going to get true. Hopefully, yeah, we're going to get true because this statement is not true inside here. 11 is less than 11, that is false. 1 is greater than 9, that is false as well. So this whole thing evaluates to false, and this guy over here is happy because that's what he wants. So he's checking if this statement is not true. So that's the logical NOT operator. Just to write it down for you guys as a comment, these babies over here are called the logical AND operator, and these guys are the OR operator, and this guy over here is the NOT operator. So if you're writing this down somewhere, then it's going to be helpful to copy this. If not, and you think you can memorize that, then that's also awesome. I didn't have to write most of the stuff down when I was learning to program. I didn't want to, actually. So I just wrote a lot of stuff in the comments, and that's how I did it. I didn't do any pen and paper stuff. So if that works for you, then that's fine. If pen and paper works for you, then that's also fine. So that's all for operators, and if there's anything I missed, then I'll talk about it on the next video, but I'm pretty sure that I've covered everything that has to do with operators. Then we'll meet on the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for tuning in.